In this video, we will teach you about Blender 2.80 beta versions, user interface controls. This is the workflow of this video. Shortkeys depend on a Blender's different UI flows. Therefore, in this video, not going to do shortkeys part separately. You will learn this shortkeys topic under these all our topics, and we will remind learned shortkeys at the final part of the video. Now first start with our Blender's new tool shelf. This is an old version of Blender's tool shelf, and this is the new 2.80 version Blender's tool shelf. You can see it's totally different than the oldest one, and it also has some new features. You can hit the T key to hide or unhide this tool shelf. You can see this tool shelf have many tools. We will discuss about these tools one by one. First, look the select tool. This tool has different types, such as circle select, lasso select, and box select. You can click and drag the selection option for get into other types of selections. These tools are already available in the old version of Blender, but new versions tool has some new features. Now go and look what these new features are. If you click this box selection, then you can see the top of the header bar has 5 types of options. They are new, add, subtract, difference and intersect options. In this video, we call all these options as getters. First, learn about new getter. This getter gets new selections only, and it does not consider our earlier selections. Now go and look it practically on the Blender. In this lesson, we need like this Blender viewport setup. In this viewport, we have 64 cubes and viewport in the top view, and you can download this Blender file using your video description shown below. Now click select box tool on your tool shelf. Or you can get quick access menu of this tool shelf by pressing shift with space. And press B to get box select. After selecting, you can see header bar shows selection getters. And select new getter from it. Now go to your viewport and select top 3 columns of the cubes. After selecting, select left side 3 rows of the cubes. You know that we first selected this part of the cubes. After that, we selected this part of the cubes. But this tool not gets our first selection, and it only shows our last selection. It means, this new getter only considers new selections, and it doesn't get old selections into it. Now, look how the add getter works. This getter always adds our all selections into one. Now go to the Blender and select the add getter on top of the header bar. After selecting, go to your viewport and select top 3 columns of the cubes, and left side 3 rows of the cubes. Now you can see this getter adding our all selections into one. This add getter always considers our old selections, and add that selections into our new selections. Now see our next getter. Subtract getter. This getter subtracts selected objects, and it can't select any objects. Now see how it works on the Blender. First, select the all cubes in your viewport by pressing A key, and go to your header bar and click subtract getter. After selecting, go to your viewport and select middle of the 16 cubes. Now you can observe this getter subtract your old selections. Now learn how the difference getter selection works. This getter inverts your old selections. Now go and see how it's work on the Blender. First, select middle of the 16 cubes using new getter. After selecting, go to the header bar and click difference getter. Now go to your viewport and select all of these objects using left click. After selecting, you can see, it's inverted to your selection. You can also do this procedure by pressing Ctrl with I key, but this invert process working with the total viewport. Now we have to learn one more getter. It calls Intersect. This getter can't select any objects, and this getter only can decrease your earlier selected objects. Now go to the Blender and test this getter. Now go to your viewport, and select 16 cubes in the middle. You can simply do this by pressing B key on your keyboard. Pressing B key gives you box selection with Add Getter, and its old version's box selection method. After selecting, go to the header and click Intersect Getter. Now go to your viewport and select all your objects using left click. Now you can observe, adding objects not working for Intersect Getter. Now select 4 cubes in the middle. After selecting, you can observe this getter can only decrease selected objects. Another thing, these selecting tools and getters are also working with edit mode. You can press Shift with spacebar for Get Tool Shelf's Quick Access. After getting into Tool Shelf's Quick Access, if you press the W, B, C or number 2, then it gives you Select Tool, Box Select Tool, Circle Select Tool or Lasso Select Tool, respectively. Now we totally learned about select tools. After that, look at next tool on your tool shelf, and it calls Cursor Tool. This cursor tool can control your Blender viewport's 3D cursor, and this tool turns your 3D cursor into like an object. Now go and see how it's work on the Blender. First, click Cursor Tool on your tool shelf, or press Shift with spacebar to get Tool Shelf's Quick Access, and press space again to get the cursor to. After that, go to your viewport. Now you can left click and drag to move your 3D cursor on your viewport. If you press Shift with holding left click, then the 3D cursor will move slowly. If you press Ctrl with holding left click, then the 3D cursor will move viewports unit by unit. And you can also hold left click with press Z, Y or X to move the 3D cursor at specified axis. And you know that objects can move on a specified 2-axis. It means, if you lock an axis by pressing Shift with X, Y or Z key, then that object will move on the remaining directions. And this method also working for this cursor tool, and you have to first hold left click for that. Now, we totally learned about cursor tool. After that, now move into the next tool. First, we will discuss about these tools together. After that, we would discuss about this transform tool. Now, start with this move tool. First, go to your tool shelf, and click Move tool. You can also press Shift with spacebar to get Tool Shelf Quick Access, and hit G key to select Move tool. After selection, you can see red, green and blue color arrows and small meshes on your selected object. You know that these arrows will move your objects on a specified axis, and these colors will determine the axis: red for the x-axis, green for the y-axis, and blue for the z-axis. Now see what these small meshes does. If you click and drag any of these meshes, then it will lock its initial direction, and it will move on the remaining directions. Now, we totally learned about Move tool. After that, now move into the Scale tool. Go to your tool shelf, and click Scale tool, or hit following keys to get Tool Shelf's Quick Access, and press S key to get Scale tool. This Scale tool has another type, it calls Cage Scale. You can simply left click and hold Scale tool for get Cage Scale. First, starts with the normal Scale tool. This tool's controlling is same as the Move tool. You know that these three colors are scale with its initial directions, and these tools also has small meshes to its specified scaling, and its scaling also same as Move tool. Now see it practically. This tool can scale, like this, on its initial axis. Now see the small meshes scaling, therefore, click and drag this red color mesh. After dragging, you can see this object is not scaling with the x-axis, it's scaling with y and z-axis. You can observe, this is also same as Move tool's small meshes. Now see how Cage Scale works. This tool is recommended for more than one object scaling. If you use this Cage Scale, this tool will get your object's selection into the one box cage. After that, if you scale that box cage using its vertices, then objects will scale with that cage. Now go and see how this tool work on the Blender. Now delete light and camera on your viewport. After that, duplicate this cube following like this. Now go to your tool shelf, and left click and hold this Scale tool, then, it will show this Cage Scale. Now move your mouse into it. Or, hit following keys to get tool shelf's quick access, and press number-pad 4. After that, select all the objects in your viewport, by pressing A key. After selection, you can see, the scale box gauge is created for selected objects. Now, you can click these points and do the cage scale for these objects. After these scaling tools, now look at the Rotate tool. This rotation tool has red, green and blue circles. These circles do rotate with its initial axis, and this tool has a new trackball rotating. First, click Rotate to Linear Tool Shelf, or get Tool Shelf's quick access, and hit R key. After selection, you can see it show its color circles. You can rotate with these color circles like this. Now do Trackball Rotate. Left click and hold this part on your Rotate tool. This will do trackball rotating, and it's free to rotate your objects on any direction. If you hold Shift with these options, then it will rotate slowly. Or, if you hold Control with these options, then it will rotate unit by unit. Now, we can learn about Transition tool. This tool is merged creation of moving, rotating and scaling tools. If you know about these rotate, move and scaling tools, then you can handle this tool easily. Simply click this icon, or get tool shelf's quick access, and press T to get this transform tool. After getting into this tool, you can see the header bar show move, scale and rotate options. You can specify your transition tool using these options. Now go to your header and see how it's work. First click the move option, then this tool becomes like a move tool. If you hold shift and click rotate, then it becomes like a move and rotates tools mixed creation. Now we totally learned about new tool shelves, select, cursor and transforming tools. Now see which type of short keys we learned. T. Tool shelf hide and unhide. A. Select all. Control with I. Invert the selection. B. Box selection with add getter, border select. Shift with spacebar, tool shelves quick access. Shift with spacebar and W, select tool. Shift with spacebar and B, box select. Shift with spacebar and C, circle select. Shift with spacebar and number pad 2, lasso select. Shift with spacebar and G, move tool. Shift with spacebar and S, scale tool. Shift with spacebar and R, rotate tool. Shift with spacebar and T, transition tool. Shift with spacebar and hit spacebar again, cursor tool. On the cursor tool, holding left click with Z, cursor Z axis move. Holding left click with X, cursor X axis move. Holding left click with Y, cursor Y axis move. Now, we totally learned about new tool shelves, select, cursor, move, rotate, scale and transition tools. In the next part of this video, we will talk about 3D viewport controlling, collection, new properties panel, and user layouts. If you like this video, hit like button. If you have learned something new, hit subscribe. If you hit the bell icon, you will get notifications as soon as we upload a new video. Learn with IBN. Thank you for watching.